Okay, Chevra, we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. We have here at least 2 new faces today, which makes me very happy. Love to see 2 new faces. Welcome, welcome, Carrie, and welcome, Ariella. Very, very happy to see you guys here. And we are at, it's always my favorite time when we're starting a new Torah. It's like, it's exciting energy, and, we're beginning anew. It's refreshing. It's like, I'm always very excited when we start something new. So we're starting today in Torah Chaf Gimel 23 in the second section of Likutei Moharan, Tinyana. And so this is a Torah that's called, the title of this Torah is Be'inyan HaSimcha, which is the matter of Simcha, the Inyan of Simcha. And I'll tell you that when I even just learning this Torah very superficially, it really hit me personally very hard. I feel like this Torah is talking to me personally. I think it probably will talk to everybody, but it's speaking to me, completely speaking to me. And so I'm going to probably give over some personal thoughts and experiences as to how this relates to me. But also, this is the first time in our shir over the last, I don't know how long it's been, 6-7 years that we've been doing this shir, that we've tackled one of Rabbi Nachman's short Torahs. Usually, one lesson in Likutei Moharan is like multiple pages, and it's super complicated and very, very, very in depth. And you have to really, every step of the way, you have to like keep where you are, and it's hard, right? So this one is very, very short. We're going to say it over, the whole Torah, first before we start. We're going to say it over, and it's going to take like 3 minutes, maybe 4. So it presents its own challenges, because within this short little Torah is such amazing and exquisite depth. And I've probably spent already like at least 12 full hours of study on this Torah. And I'm only beginning to uncover little bits of it. And so we have to try to figure out how to balance understanding the great depth that's hidden within it, and also being able to actually talk about it. So this is what we're going to try to do here. I think we're going to start off with speaking about this Torah in somewhat of a practical way, and kind of what the initial way that we understand it. And then in subsequent shiurim, we'll begin to uncover some deeper things. I think that's going to be the mahalach, different from the way we should do it. Yeah.
One paragraph?
Yeah, it starts Chaf Gimel to Chaf Dalet. That's it. Just that one paragraph. Yeah. So let's dive into it. It says like this. It says Rabbi Nachman, and I just want to tell you also, on the first half of this single paragraph, I have written down 38 questions so far. And they're all, it's interesting. For those of you who don't know, Rabbi Nachman's Torah is something that's very unique. It's unique in the way that most even big tzaddikim, when they're writing their Torah, they're giving it over, and there's usually some hidden meanings or some deeper things. But generally, if it's deep, they're explaining to you why it's deep. Rabbi Nachman's Torah is written in a way that it's like encompasses pardes, meaning it exists on multiple levels, which is why it's mind-blowing to so many different people, because you can read it and there can be a simple understanding. I could just get a simple understanding of the words, but as it goes deeper to hints and deeper drushes and allusions and connections, and it goes even all the way into Kabbalah. Every single one of Rabbi Nachman's Torah is, if you're a Makubal, a Kabbalist, you look at it and read it in a way that it's like not part of this world, and you see that everything is following a Kabbalistic pathway as well as just a simple understanding. So Rabbi Nachman's Torah is something not from this universe, and this is it's not just even the people who maybe are not yet fully accepting of Hasidus. There's not many of them left nowadays. People are pretty we've all calmed down. Everybody's calmed down a little bit and become, but they will still recognize. We have a book over there of the great things that people have said about Rabbi Nachman, Rosh Yeshiva, Sfardim, Ashkenazim, everybody. And one thing that nobody ever says, nobody ever disputes the genius and depth of the Sefer. What they do sometimes dispute is who should learn it at what time and in what way, right? But it's something absolutely amazing. So on each word, Rabbi Nachman said about his Torah that we should be medayek kamikra. We should be careful and precise with every one of his words, the same way you would learning like Chumash. He said every word is chosen specifically, and every time you see something, it's something that he's showing us something deeper. So that's why it's so gishmak to learn. Because if you like learning in depth, you can learn first on a simple level, but then you can really start digging deep and pulling out amazing things as you go forward. So this will be our mahalach for today. Is we're going to start simply, and we'll see as a couple of weeks come forward. Welcome, Mark. Welcome. Please grab some tea if you want. Yeah. As we move forward in the weeks, we'll get a little bit deeper. So let's go through the lesson one time, beginning to end. It will be quick, and then we'll start at the beginning and start to uncover it a little bit. So it begins like this: Be'inyan hasimcha, with regarding the matter of simcha, al pi mashal, according to a mashal, an allegory, a parable. Shalifamim kishebenei adam smeichim umerakdim, that sometimes when people are happy and dancing, azai choitfin ish echad mibachutz, then they grab a single guy out from outside the circle, shehu ba'atzvu samar shachayra, that he is in a state of sadness and gloom, umachnisin oisoi ba'al korchoi l'soich mechol umerakdim, and we bring him in against his will into the circle of the dancers. Umachrichim oisoi ba'al korchoi and they force him against his will once again that he should be happy with them also. Well, you're going to go through once, then we'll get into it. Kain yesh be'inyan simcha. So too is by the matter of simcha. Ki kisha adam sameach, because when a person is happy, azai hamara shachayra v'ayirsurin nistalkin min hatzad. Then what happens is our gloominess and our pain and our suffering kind of evaporates to the side. It goes away. It steps to the side. Okay? Aval, ma'ila yasera, but a higher level, lehis ametz lirdoif achar hamar shachar davka, is to build up one's courage, to chase after the gloominess specifically, to chase after it. What does that mean? Lahachnis oisa gamkein b'soicha simcha, to bring it also into the simcha. Bring the mara shachara, the sadness, the gloominess, into the simcha. Ba'oifen she'amara shachara ba'atzma tizhapech l'simcha, in a way that gloominess will itself transform into simcha, transform into happiness. Sha'az migoidel, sorry, I skipped a part. She'yahafeh chamar shachar v'chol yisur l'simcha, that the gloominess and all of the pain and suffering should be transformed into simcha. Kederech habal l'seicha simcha, just like in the mashal of the guy who came into the circle of the dancers, into the simcha. Sha'az migoidel hasimcha v'achedva, because then from the great simcha and chedva, and chedva, they both kind of mean joy, happiness, right? Mehapech kol hadaigos v'ha'atzvus v'mar shachira shaloi l'simcha. So it switches over, transforms all of the worries and the sadness and the gloom that he has into simcha. Okay. Nimsa comes out. Shechoite v'mar shachira u'machnis risa ba'al korcha l'seicha simcha. Comes out that we snatched the gloominess and we brought it against its will, into the simcha. Ka mashal hanal, just like the mashal, the analogy that we said in the beginning. V'zeh bechinas, and this is an aspect of the pasuk from Yeshaya that says, Sason v'simcha yasigu, joy and happiness will overtake them, v'nasu yagoin v'anocha, and sadness and sighing will flee. So how does Rabbi Nachman explain this? Shayagoin v'anocha borchim v'nasim min simcha, that sadness and sighing run away and flee from simcha. Ki be'esa simcha, because at the time of simcha, derech hayagin v'anacha lamod min atzad kanal. Because what happens at the time of simcha, the normal way of sadness and sighing is to stand at the side, as we said. Aval, however, tzarech lirdoef achareihem daika. But no, we have to chase after the sadness and the sighing specifically. Lasigam ulhagiam, to attain them and to reach them. To bring them in specifically into the simcha. And this is what the pasuk means, that joy and happiness will overtake them. Overtake what? That the joy and happiness will overtake and grab a hold of the sadness and the sighing. That are running away and fleeing from the joy. To bring them in against their will into the simcha. The final idea of this Torah. Because there is sadness and sighing that is the other side, the evil side, the klipa side, right? They do not want to be a vehicle, a channel for kedusha, for holiness. That's why they're running away from the simcha. Therefore, we have to force them to bring them into the kedusha. What is the kedusha? Kedusha is simcha. Ba'al korcham, against their will, as we said. That is the whole entire lesson, right? That's a record for us, right? We finished. First 5 minutes, we finished. Next, no. So let's go back to the beginning now, and let's just start to bring some stuff out. As I said, we're gonna next week in particular, we're gonna get deeper, but let's just see what we can get over here. So, like I said, on the first half of the first paragraph, we have like 39 questions written down, but a few to just start us off. First of all, be'inyan hasimcha. Rabbi Nachman has never started a Torah like this. What do you mean be'inyan hasimcha? The matter of simcha? Regarding the matter of simcha, just tell me what your thing is on simcha. What's the matter of simcha? Be'inyan ha-simcha. The matter of, really, the simcha. What? Just tell me what you want to tell me. He doesn't start things like this. Very unusual. Al pi mashal. So, and once again, he's starting with a mashal. It's very unusual. There's no explanation of what we're talking about. Right away, a mashal. Not only that, I don't know if you noticed, but the quote-unquote mashal seems to me to just be an example of simcha. It seems to be simcha, a question about simcha. Why is it a mashal? How does a mashal usually go? Oh, there was once a king, and his son was so-and-so, and he had a princess daughter who was his favorite daughter, and right? This is a mashal. That's a proper mashal. How is this a mashal? It just seems like he's talking about simcha. So how is this a mashal? Right? So as we saw, probably the simple answer is that there's this mashal at the beginning about a situation of a simcha, but it tells us something about our own inner self, about our own sadness, our own simcha, and our own relationship with that. It tells us something about ourselves, which is kind of the simple answer. But we're gonna see a much deeper answer. So with that, let's go. Let's try and understand this mashal. Al pi mashal. That sometimes when people are happy and dancing, azai choitfin ish echad mibachutz, we grab someone from the outside. That guy on the outside is in sadness and gloom. And we bring him in against his will into the circle of the dancers. And we force him against his will that he should be happy with them also. That's the mashal, right? So just let's think for a minute. Who identifies with this? Right? Do you identify with this? Right? Have you been this person? Right? I know that I have been this person. I've been on both sides of this mashal. Right? Have you been the person who everybody's dancing, everybody's happy, but for some reason you're not in the middle of it? You're standing out at the side, right? So in the exact situation, it could be a wedding, let's say. It could be you're at a simcha, you're at a wedding. Could be you're at shul here Friday night, right? Whatever it is, and everybody's dancing. Sometimes I'm telling you my own personal situation here. Sometimes I go into this chasna, into the wedding, and I'm mamish plugged in, and I'm there with everybody, and I'm going for it, and it's b'simcha. But sometimes I don't want to dance. I don't want to go in. I'm uncomfortable. I don't feel good. And so I'm standing at the side. Simcha's going on. It's happening right in front of me. But I don't feel it. And I don't want to go. Anybody identify with this? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah? So that's one aspect. I'll tell you other things like, I love sitting down here to learn with you guys. And we learn awesome stuff and it's exciting. But, and so whenever I'm learning or when we're davening in the shul, whatever it is, mamish plugged in. And it's good and I'm happy. Right? I'm b'simcha. It's great. But other times, I'm here in my house and you know what? I want to be left alone. I don't want to talk to anybody. And it's not from a good place. I'm not interested in being with people and I don't feel great. I don't want to be like that. And this is how I feel. And Rabbi Nachman is telling us that this is something. So let's think about it for a second. He's telling us that the simcha, when there's a situation of simcha, the way is that your atzvus and marashachara, which you could translate in many ways. I prefer to translate atzvus as sadness. Some people like to use depression for one of these words, but it's a hot button term because also it can have different. It can be clinical. It can be something that needs to be medicated. Let's leave that stuff out. Let's just call it sadness. Your sadness and your gloominess, they stand at the side, right? So why is he telling us that they stand at the side? What's not happening when my sadness and gloom is standing at the side?
To me, that's ego-based. Like you're in your ego and you're all about you. You're very self-absorbed in your own stuff.
Okay, could be.
It's very hard to see this thing.
But I'm the happy guy. I'm like he's saying, when you're in a place of happiness, and you really are happy, right? But so your sadness and your gloom are pushed away. They're standing. It's ke'ilu. They're standing at the side. That in the mashal, in the story, right? There's a circle of people dancing, and they're all happy, right? Mordecai, everyone dancing is happy. So they're all dancing and they're happy, and there's somebody outside who's not happy. So he's telling us, you know what you got to do? Then you got to pull him in. But now he's telling us, just like that situation where there's a whole bunch of people that are happy, and there's one guy outside who's in sadness and gloom. This is you also. That when you're happy, your sadness and gloom is just outside. The guys in the middle are having a party. They're dancing and they're happy. It's amazing, right? So too by you. When you're b'simcha, you're dancing happy, whatever you're doing, you're happy, happy, happy. But you know what? Your atzvus and marashachara are just pushed to the side a little bit. So it strikes me very strongly. This is what hit me so hard personally about this Torah. He's telling us something that is really important to think about. I want to say it's important to admit and to acknowledge. And that is that I have not gotten rid of my sadness and my it's suppressed. It's just pushed away. It's there, right? I may be happy for a little while, but you know what? Sometime soon, it's going to come back.
It's like the Yetzer Hara waiting to pounce
Waiting.
on you when you're weak.
So Rabbi Yaakov is saying the Yetzer Hara is waiting to pounce on you when you're weak. So another way that I thought about this in personal experience, I'm laying it all out on the table for you guys here. You see, I'm telling you, I learned Rabbi Nachman's Torah. I love it. I go to Uman and everything. I'm telling you, I need this Torah. I don't have it all figured out. This is why we need Rabbi Nachman. We have to admit, right, that we're struggling and that we need help. Right? So I'm laying it all out here. So sometimes you could even be in a situation of simcha, and it's ki'ilu, you're waiting, like you're almost counting. Okay, like I gotta go around the circle a few more times, then I'm getting out of here. It's like you're still, even though you're in the middle of it and you're there, you're not. I'm not really there. And it's that whatever it is, atzvus and mar shechera, sadness and gloom, they're waiting for me. They're almost like saying, okay, come on. They're telling me it's time to go. Don't get me wrong. I'm opening up here. I'm not sad and depressed. I'm not like lying on the floor in my bedroom in the fetal position. I'm recognizing that there's something there, right? That is not. It's not right. It's not good. There's something there that needs to be noticed, acknowledged, and worked on, right? So Rabbi Nachman's telling us, sort of, in the beginning over here, that there's two levels of this. There's becoming besimcha, being in a. By the way, you'll notice he didn't tell us how to be besimcha. He didn't tell us what to do to besimcha. He said, when you're besimcha, when you're happy, your sadness and bitterness and gloom are pushed to the side. He's not telling us how to do it. He's like telling us a reality over here, right? So he's telling us there's two levels. The first level is, and it's a good level. How do we see that? Because he says by the second level, a maila yasera, an even higher level is the second level. This is good. When we go and we get into a situation of simcha, and our sadness and our gloom and everything gets pushed to the side, right? Even though we didn't let go of it yet, that's good. That's a positive thing. It's a maila. It's a level. It's something fantastic that we did. This is good, right? It's good even sometimes just to get into a situation where we push our stuff aside. It's good to be besimcha. Sometimes, you ever heard the term fake it till you make it? Right? So this is a real thing. Unfortunately, who doesn't know the unfortunate power of the Satan, of the Sitra Achra, that, we say this idea many times, that if our Yetzer Hara gets us to do an Avera, something we're not supposed to do, right? How many times do we say this idea that that's not even the goal of the Yetzer Hara, to get us to do one Avera? Right? He's like, that one little thing? No. What he wants to do, he wants to get us to do an Avera, and then to feel terrible, and to become sad, become dejected, and to go and spend the next week, watching Netflix or something. Totally tuned out. He wants to knock us down and push us aside. This is what he wants, right? So, and this is sometimes how we get. You can disagree with me if you want, if you never get like this, right? But sometimes we get into a state where we don't want to do, right? So sometimes one of the things that's coming out from here, the next Torah in a big way, but is that it's good, even just to temporarily get into a state of simcha. That's going to knock us out of that mind frame and help us to be able to snap out of it and be able to get back on track to a certain extent. Okay, I didn't deal with the simcha yet, with the sadness yet, but I got out of that place. That is already positive, says Rabbi Nachman. Maila Yasera, an even higher level, is that I take the atzvus and mara shechera, the sadness and the gloom, and I bring it into the simcha. I force it. I grab it, and I force it against its will, whatever that means, right? To bring it into the place of simcha. And what does he say is going to happen then somehow? Is that it's going to be mahapech, it's going to transform into simcha itself. Right? So the question is, what? How do I do that? What does that mean? What does that mean? Right? So like, what do you actually do? What do you do? So I'll throw one thing out there, then you could say what you're thinking, Sandra. But because what it is not is that I just allow I just say, okay, I'm going to be b'simcha now. I'm going to allow that to go out of my mind for a while, right? That is the first part. That's the first level. That I kind of ignore it. I let it go to the side. What does it mean that I take the sadness, the gloominess, the pain, the yisurim, the words he used, suffering, and I pull it into the simcha, so that it should be, come on in, Alona, it's okay. That it should be mahapech. It should be transformed into simcha. How do I do that? You have a thought, Sandra?
I want to say that you taught us a lot, like,
Yeah.
do something now. Like,
Right.
do something.
Oh, very
So
good.
it could be a class, singing, dancing, but the other thing is, I think, when I used to go to the gym, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want that. But when I went to the gym,
Yeah.
I actually felt better after I worked out.
Right.
So sometimes, like you say, you bring it into the moment, and you talk about it being a choice. Like, joy is partly a choice, you know? Like,
Sure.
what is the choice? And so I just think about what you taught us about doing something just now. Like,
Right.
do something.
Right.
Out of your own way.
Okay, so Sandra's saying something very good. I think this is more of an idea about how to get into a space of simcha to start with, right? Do something good, right? Jump in. One of the things Rabbi Nachman says a few times is to do something a little bit. I think it's very auspicious that Carrie's here for one of the first times over here, because that's one of the inyanim of dancing. Where she's very into dancing, right? It's just you get yourself to do something to pull yourself out of where you are, right? What do you got, Ariella?
I'm just like, I have
Yeah.
the image of dancing when we dance in a circle. That's like
Yeah.
completing it's a whole, and maybe
Oh, very good.
this is like also like becoming organically like a whole by bringing in all the different, like the anger and the simcha together. You organically become whole, just like in that circle. you
Right.
become whole.
Okay, Ariella's saying something very, very good, and I think we should look at it a little bit. Let's put this on hold. We'll put on hold for a second. How do we take sadness and gloominess and bring it into the simcha? It's part of it, but she said something very good. So first of all, in the be'iyun learning, the in-depth learning, everything is important over here. So he's telling us that there's a circle, right? And the circle is kind of like something that's sort of complete, right? In a circle has an inside. There's an inside. There's the circle itself. And then there's outside the circle, right? This is going to be something, this we're saving for next week. This is going to be something very, 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 very deep that we're going to get to. But something important is that, you see, this is another point. What did Rabbi Nachman say? Sometimes, k'shebnei adam smeichim u'maraktim. Hebrew speakers, translate bnei adam smeichim u'maraktim for me. What do we got?
Human beings are happy and dance.
Very good. Human beings are happy and dancing. I also wonder, it's a great question, I don't have an answer for it yet, why Bnei Adam specifically, right? But let's notice that it's plural. In the circle, a bunch of people are dancing, right? Who's outside? What did he say is outside? Is Ish Echad. The person outside is alone. The person outside is alone, right? The person of atzvus, the person of sadness and gloom, feels alone, is alone. Who are the people that are dancing and happy? Are the Bnei Adam Smeichim Maraktim, right? They're together with a group. They don't feel alone. They feel connected. They feel part of something. There's a bigger something. This is also important. I'm not giving it away yet. But there's something bigger going on in this circle that has an inside and a circle and an outside. There's something much deeper and bigger happening over here. But even in the simple understanding, right? What do? They take that guy and they bring him into the circle. What's the lashon that Rabbi Nachman says? And they force him, She'yeh sameach imahem, that he should be happy with them. He's not going to be happy feeling alone and dejected, right? Bringing him into the circle is bringing him imahem, right? Bring him together with you. Bring him in, gamkein, also together with you. What is one thing that we could see here that's so important, right? Is the importance, the tremendous, tremendous importance of caring about someone else in such a situation. You see someone who's sad, right? You see someone who's in such a state, and you're in the group. You're with the popular kids, right? you're happy, you're dancing, you're whatever, things are good, right? And you see a guy, reach out to that person and pull them in. They're not going to get better if they feel alone and dejected. They're not going to lose that, right? There's something about being in the mechol hamarakdim, the circle of the dancers, that enables a person to break out from being an ish echad, from being alone, sad, and gloomy and dejected. Right? You hear? What do you got, Vered?
But imahem is really among them. It's more than with them. It's being a part of them.
100%. Very good.
It's like
Yeah.
a connection, right? It's deeper.
I'm gonna say it's a connection, right?
Yeah, but in Hebrew, words are very specific. Like,
Sure.
It doesn't say itam.
Right.
It says imahem.
Imahem.
Among them.
It also says right afterwards, by the way, gamkein. Imahem, gamkein.
Gamkein also.
Why is he saying that? It's superfluous. Doesn't need to be there. There's something so deep in this gamkein also. The imahim and gamkein thing together is tremendously important to understanding over here, right? But this is something. One more thing to think about, And I kind of alluded to in my own personal experience. When I'm here with you guys, when I'm in shul, right? When I'm, if it could be you're out at a dinner party with somebody, Shabbos, you're sitting at a suda with people, right? There, what happens to your sadness if you have it, or to whatever level you have it? Sorry,
Forget about it.
everyone has it. It just kind of gets pushed off to the side, and you don't feel it at that time. You're with people. It's gewaldic, right? It's fantastic. But why did I say that? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, but that's why, because I'm imahem. We're all together in this. We're and we become, when we learn together like this, we become very close. We talk about important and deep things. We become very close. When you have Shabbos studios with people, right? You become very close and you're connected. You feel together. Imahem, right? Gamkein. Now I'll give a little hint to something I think comes out from the depth of this that I think is really also important. This is one of my favorite aspects of this Torah. But imahem gamkein. So let's say like this. Let's say the middle of the circle. I'm already getting into next week, but let's do it anyway.
Well, 2 weeks. Next week.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks, yeah. Let's say the middle of the circle is something like an energy, right? The middle of the circle is a power, is an energy. Something like that, yeah. Yes, in the Nimshal for sure, I think that's what it is. But in the Mashal of the people dancing, the middle of the circle, because once again, a circle, and especially the way he's saying it, has the actual circle, which is all of the people holding hands, the middle of the circle, and then there's the outside, which is the sad guy, right? But the middle of the circle nothing's really there, but it's the place of energy. There's something inside that, where everybody's holding hands together, imahem. Everybody, when you're in a circle like that, you're also looking at everybody. You're connecting, you're like looking at each other's faces. It's mamash a tremendous connection, right? You go to, I made a funny joke. I haven't been to a dance club in literally many decades. But I remember, I'm sure they haven't changed too much. I have no idea, actually. Things have changed a lot in the world. But I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that everybody's not in the dance club with the music pumping, all holding hands in a circle, going around and around and looking at each other, face to face with big smiles. Not happening, right? Who dances like that's? The world doesn't dance like this. This is how we're dancing. We're holding hands. We're in a circle. We're looking at each other. We're totally in this aspect of imahem. But we, who are dancing, we are the actual circle. What's inside the circle is everything I want to say that we are creating. Everything that we're doing, there's something in that circle that drew us in. There's something in that circle that is built from our connections and everything that we're doing, that we're creating with our togetherness and our dancing and our own happiness. And I think I'm saying right now that is Inyan HaSimcha. That thing that's going on in the middle, whatever it is, that power is HaSimcha. HaSimcha. Before I go farther, I want to just remind everybody that when we're learning the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, it's so deep. I'm not saying that this is for sure what he's saying. I'm always saying this is the way I'm understanding it. This is my take. This is the way I'm understanding it. You don't have to agree with me, and you can fight me. I like it when you fight me, right?
Is that related to that feeling of like complete connection? Is that related to Achdus, which is then related to that whole organic whole?
I believe absolutely. Yeah. So Ariel is using this word organic whole.
I don't know why. I'm making
It's a good word. It's a good word. I'm going to use it. Yeah. I'm going to get you maybe holistic, whatever it is. No, that's not a good word. Organic whole. It's fantastic. Yeah. There's something that happens when it's imahem, when it's smeichim raktim, it's b'nei adam, and we're in that situation. Something is built. Something spiritual happens, right? This is in the middle of the circle. So there's a middle. There's a guys on the outside, and then there's an outside. There's an outside the circle. That's the place of sadness and gloominess and dejectedness, right? So this is something to think about. How did those guys who are in the dancing circle, how did they get there? Where did they come from?
They each came in into joy.
Right. They weren't born in a circle, right? They didn't jump out of the nursery already constantly dancing their way through life, joined together, right? Those little dolls that you could cut out, that like you fold the whole thing up and you cut out the dolls and then you unfold it and they're like one big line, right? So you can make that those dolls are born joined together, holding hands, right? We're not like that. We're not like that. So every one of those people in the circle was outside the circle at some point. Every one of those people lived outside that circle and felt like an ish echad, right? Or an isha achas. Felt like one lone person. And each one of those people was ba'atzvis mar shechera, sadness and gloom, to whatever extent. Once again, we're not saying that you're on the floor crying, but something is there that's keeping you out. And what happened to those people? Somehow they got pulled into the circle. And then they became part of the circle. And they're not the simcha, right? How do I know that? Because they used to be outside. The simcha was going on there. The simcha draws people in. We pull people into the simcha. And then you have these three existences. So now this is like something super gewaldic and important and like such an important lesson for me, I hope for all of us, but what's imahem gamkein, right? I think this is what these words are saying. Bring them in to be together with them, or like Vered's saying, to be one of us. Gamkein, right? Also like me. What does that mean? It means, you know what? I used to be out there. I know what it's like. I know what you're feeling. I was there also, right? This is something so powerful when we can let someone know and connect to a person by saying, I care about what you're experiencing right now. You know why, and you know how I know? Because I was there. And I want to support you. I want to open up to you. I want to tell you what happened to me, because I see where you are, and I've been there, and I want you to come in with me.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that, right? And like, I'll say another important point, because we have a few new people here, but there's 18 principles for learning Likutei Moharan, written by one of the main students of Reb Nosson, called Rav Nachman, Rav Avram bar Rav Nachman. So he was Rav Nachman Tolchiner was the main student of Rav Nosson, who was Rav Nachman's main student. And this Rav Avram bar Rav Nachman was his son. He was a tremendous Talmud Chacham and one of the main conveyors of Breslov Masorah. So he gleaned from his grandfather and his father what these 18 principles of how to learn Likutei Moharan, right? And they are very, very, very important. We're not talking about them so much now, but one that's so important is that if you want to be able to understand what Rabbi Nachman is saying, especially in any kind of depth, right? You want to be able to connect to it. You want that channel to open up. You must take what Rabbi Nachman's talking about, take his advice, and live it. You have to put it into practice, right? And it's not just saying, you know what, guys, it would be nice. Try to do this because it's a good idea. It's true. You should do it. We should all do it. It's great. But it's saying, no, that's going to open something up for you that's going to allow deeper things to be revealed to you. This is because the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, once again, it exists in universes. And it's not something that we are able, with our intellect, just to understand. Right? Some things, this is the way all Torah is, have to be revealed to us, and they don't get revealed to us because we're smarty pants. Right? Or even because we try hard. They get revealed to us when we create vessels that are able to receive it. This klal, one of these principles is telling us, put this thing into practice, and then things will open up. You'll be able to see things, right? So, I'll give you the next thing. Don't forget it. Very, very important. Guys, let's all make sure that we're thinking about this, right? So first of all, a few action points that we can take. Don't be afraid to dance, first of all, right? I know she doesn't like to dance, but sorry I keep making fun of you. Okay. Right? Don't be afraid to dance. Okay? Go out and do it. Right? But also, let's remember that person who is ba'atzvus mar shechera is an ish echad, is an isha achas, is a person who feels alone. Look around. See who you can bring in. Someone just told me, I'll tell you, someone just told me this past week. There's a certain person who was hoping, this is in our shul if you can believe it, it's very surprising, but in our shul there was a certain person who was hoping that it was a lady, was hoping one other lady was going to talk to her. And that lady didn't talk to her at all, and she felt very upset by this. Okay, she's got issues, it's okay. Everyone's got issues, right? But just the power of going over to someone and saying hello, welcoming them, bringing them in, saying, you know what, you're Imanu, you're one of us, right? You're welcome here. You're part of us, right? It's for this reason. You guys probably don't notice, but I have a minhag that in the shul, every Shabbos morning at the time of Kriyas Torah, I go around to every single person in the shul, and I say hello to them and give them a hug. Every single, from 45 to 70 men that are in the shul, I make my way around through everybody. Why? Because this is what it does. It does for me also. I'm selfish, don't forget. I like to feel good. I like to feel besimcha. And when we do things like that, we're creating simcha. We're making imahem. We're making gamkein. I've been that guy who went into a shul and nobody said a word to. Nobody said a word to. And I felt terrible. Right? I told you this, I got to tell the story again. Many times I've told this story, but it's like, this is the time for the story. My great friend of the past, I'm sure we're still good friends, but we don't talk very often, Zale Newman. You guys know Zale Newman? Mm-hmm. Big tzaddik. Awesome person. So he told me like this. This is a story that happened to him. Most of you have heard the story. I don't know. The story happened on Rosh Hashanah in the village shul. Okay? So in the village shul down south. Beautiful, amazing place, the village shul. Fantastic place. Mm-hmm. So he said like this, that, he's this guy. He goes around and finds people and pulls them in. This is what he does. It's in his personality. He does this avodah. So he was in the village shul and he was doing what he does. He's going around talking to different people who were new, because it's Rosh Hashanah. Some of the people who only come once a year or twice a year or whatever, or don't come often, they come then. He's going around saying hi to everybody, talking to everybody. What happens? He goes up to this one guy and he says to the person, "Hi, my name is Zale. Shana Tova. I just want to welcome you to the shul. Nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself." Right? Whatever. You know what the guy said to him? He said, "Wow, you know what? Before I came into the shul today, I said to myself, this is the last time I'm ever going into a shul." He had been going to different places. He had shown up to different shuls, and no one ever said hi to him. No one greeted him. He said to himself, if I go into this shul now and nobody says hi to me, I'm never going into a shul again. And he told Zale this right to his face, right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine that one move to go and say to someone, you're imahim, you're imanu, you're one of us, welcome. To give them that welcome. That you're taking someone who's outside the circle in atzvus and marashachayra, sadness and gloominess, and you're bringing him in to that power of inyan hasimcha that is at the root of the existence of happy Jews together. It's there. It's a power. It's a koyach. We don't know where it comes from yet. We haven't really gotten to that, right? But it's something that I think exists somehow, and for sure it is encircled and it is amplified and created bigger and made amazing from those people that are together, that are dancing together, right? And someone's on the outside, right? If we've ever been on the outside in whatever situation, it doesn't have to be a shul. It could be a friend group, right? There's so many things that people want to feel a part of. If we've ever been that person who's on the outside, and now we're in a place where we have good friends, and we have good community, we have a circle that's dancing, whatever the situation is, let's put it into practice. Let's remember I've been there, and I'm not going to turn a blind eye to a person who's standing outside the circle. I'm going to grab them and pull them in, right? I'm going to help them.
Against their will.
Against their will.
So here's my
Amish.
question.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you mentioned that every letter, or almost every letter in every word has extreme value and importance.
Yeah.
So what jumps out at me is, why is against his will brought up twice, which would seem redundant in the same sentence?
100%. It's a great question. Not only that, I'll tell you, there's 4 words. One of them, I'll tell you a drasha that I have that you might appreciate or might not. But chotfin, first of all, what does chotef mean? Who knows this word? It's not such a common word. It means to snatch or to grab or to kidnap, right? That's a strong word. It's a strong word. It's a word of it could be that it's the strongest of all the against the wills. Then he says al korchach, against the will of the person you're bringing them in. Then he says machrichin oisai, you have to force him, also bal korchach, against his will. 4 strong words are being said over here, right? So there's many that we've got to get into a lot more depth to understand what these words are really saying, right? I'm not there yet. We'll get there, God willing. But one thing we see, just this is a little tiny bit deeper, but not much, is that he seems to be telling us that there's plenty of pushback when we're trying to become besimcha. There's plenty of pushback. There's one against your will. There's a forcing that's going to take place. You have to against your own will, maybe, allow yourself to be happy. You have to, against your own will, force yourself to go in, to leave, to get up, go into the circle, right? Go and do it. You have to get there. And the same way with other people. Have you had this thing where I don't know if it goes like this by ladies, because I don't watch ladies dancing at simchas, because I'm not supposed to, right? But by the men, it happens all the time that there's the circle, some guy's standing outside, and you go and grab them to pull them in. Sometimes they're like, no, I don't want to, right? And sometimes you try again, and they're like, no, leave me alone. Okay, you have to know when to stop, right? and not to cause problems, right? But you see that some people, you really have to go against their will to pull them in, and then when they get in, okay, so at least for a little while they start to get more b'simcha. They might be that person that goes around twice and is like, okay, I can leave now. They're very still very connected to what's outside, to the atzos marshachar, right? But you do have to taka sometimes pull people against their will. Now turn it around in the nimshal. That's the mashal. The nimshal is me, myself, and I. Me, my own simcha, my own sadness that's outside there, right? It's not so easy. Sometimes you got to, against your own will, against the will of your sadness, of your atzvus. Guess what that is? It's you. Against your own will, right? Now, just think about some practical things. Are you ever in a situation where you know something's going on, and you know if you go that it's a good thing to be part of, and you're gonna grow, maybe you're gonna learn, maybe it's a shir, maybe it's a dinner together, right? And you don't feel like it, and you're down in the dumps. You're an ish echad or an isha achas. You're alone. So what do? I'm just gonna stay home and do this, right? Or who knows what else. Hopefully that's yeah. So against your will. Bal korchach. Go against your will. Force yourself to go and do something good. Okay, Sandra, now you said it, right? We said so many times. How tamimus, simplicity, right? What does it mean? It means that in the current, present moment, I can always do something good. Something small, I can do something good. How many times have we said, what weighs us down is the tremendous burden of the past, of all of the baggage that I have and all of those things that I've been through before. I don't want to go, it's pulling me down. That's my atzvus marashachara, right? Or he uses the word daigus later, worries. That's my stress about what's going to be in the future, right? And these things are piling on me. It's so heavy. I'm heavy. I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to move. I don't want to go. Ba'al korchai, against your will, jump out and go get into the simcha. At the very least, it's going to push the sadness, the stress, and everything to the side for a while. At the least, and Rabbi Nachman's telling us there's an even higher way. We didn't talk about how to do it yet. That'll be the beginning of next week. But how do we take it and bring it? Not just put it to the side. How do we take it and bring it into the simcha and transform that sadness, that gloominess, the stress, the pain and the suffering? How do we transform it into simcha? That's going to be the beginning of our class next week. Any?
Can I share a book that I was reading?
Yes.
So there's a book called Never Get Angry by David Lieberman.
Never Get Angry by?
Never Get Angry Again by David Lieberman.
David Lieberman. Oh yeah.
He talks about we're wired to connect. So we actually have that, although what you're saying is the human nature, like the Yetzirah is so strong that we are not connecting, usually to ourselves first. But
Right.
so we actually are wired to connect, but whatever is pulling us back is our own trigger, maybe from a trauma or something, or whatever that feeling or not feeling, whatever that feeling is.
Yeah.
So that is laziness, like I'm the person, like sometimes I come to shul and I actually don't want it, but I'm so happy I come, I'm going.
Right.
I am going. But that's me, like I force myself.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not always easy.
Right.
And also to say inclusivity, like the word I think of is inclusivity, like.
Right. That's a good word.
So, is that our obligation, like our responsibility? We should be including people where we can. But I think everyone I kind of know at the table almost is like an inclusive person, so.
Right.
I feel like that's.
Yeah, but there can be we can always work on it, and we can always see how we can improve it, as well. But yeah, beautifully said, Sandra. Beautifully said. Anyone else? Comments? Questions? Vered, what do you got?
It's also stepping out of your comfort zone. We know that.
Yes, stepping out of your comfort zone. I'm repeating this, by the way, because I'm not sure if your voices are coming through. Can you hear them talking? Kacha kacha, chetzi chetzi.
So when you're not comfortable, either doing something, being in a certain environment or around certain people,
right,
then you're reluctant, right? You don't want to go in. But once you get that taste of what it is like to be part of it, and I think too, like we're talking about adults, but look at children, like in the playground or first day at school or at lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's why it's good to have like a buddy system.
It's a nightmare,
right? Where you physically pull them in. Like you make sure that they have somebody to accompany them, to
Right.
walk, to take away that discomfort,
Right.
right?
I think we can talk maybe we can try to expand. There's so much I'm telling you, I could be talking about this Torah for months. We don't have the time, but it's only this Torah we're only learning these two for Adar and Nisan. And then we'll move on to a new one. But just this concept, like you said, something that's very important and deep, and is that, stepping out of your comfort zone. Why is it that I don't feel comfortable to go into something? Why am I standing at the side of whatever's going on? Right? It's all really, there is something wrong. There's something there with that my my ego is standing up and blocking me from going. Why? Because I feel hurt. I feel vulnerable. I feel weak, and I feel afraid to go into that situation. In my depths, that's what it is. And so my ego is standing up and saying, I'm not going. It's blocking up.
But it could be the opposite too, where you don't have an ego, where you have no self-confidence.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, why?
Yeah, it's the same
That
thing.
is ego.
Well, how is the Rav defining ego?
Right. So like this. So, ego can present itself in two ways, right? So the one way is that the typical person who's like haughty. I'm full of myself. Why does a person become haughty and full of themselves and make themselves big? Right? Because they're in their inside, they are afraid, they're hurt and broken and afraid. So they make themselves very big in order to protect themselves. Right? But there's another aspect of the same thing, right? Where I'm that same broken, weak, vulnerable person on the inside. And so what do? I also protect myself by pushing everyone out.
And that's ego.
Block. It's also an ego because I'm saying I'm putting myself, I'm separating myself from everything else. I'm not. It's a protector. It's also a protector. It's standing up to protect myself. But instead of trying to like show how I'm stronger than everybody else, it's by building a wall for myself. Right? So it's a fine point in ego, but for sure it's an aspect of low self-esteem, low self-image, and weakness, and all those kind of things, right?
You know what the acronym for ego is, right?
Yes, I do, but let's hear it.
Edging God out.
Edging God out. Yeah, that's a Yaakov Dabrowski special. But anyway, so what am I saying? Why am I saying this? I know we're finished already a long time ago, but because this is why we don't, for whatever reason, this is why in whatever situation, this is why we don't go, this is why we don't join, this is why we feel uncomfortable and we feel like we don't belong, right? It's because of this that we have atzvus. It's a deep thing that's going on within us. And the cure for it is, the first stage of the cure anyway, is to force it to come in. Well, it's just to get into the circle.
To be pulled in.
Yeah, to get into the circle.
Against your will.
Become imahem. Go in and say, I feel like I don't belong. You know what? I have to find people that I belong with and go and become part of it. How many times do we say around the shul? How much do we need kehila? How much do we need chevra? Right? We need each other. We have to come together. The Simcha, yeah. And we'll finish with one statement from the Nesiva Shalom that I love to say over, that he says that a Jew should be moiser nefesh in order to be together with other Jews for the Sudas of Shabbos. Moiser nefesh, moiser nefesh means to give up your life. It means you should do whatever it takes to make sure that for the Sudas of Shabbos, you're together with other Jews. Because he realizes the value and the importance of this togetherness, of this achdus, of being together. This is okay. It's connected to what we're talking about over here. We have such a long way to go. I can't believe they're only giving us 2 months for this. I can't believe they're only giving us 2 months for this. But yeah, we could. You're right. Anyway, thank you everybody. Mitzvah Hashem. Have a great Shabbos. Next week we will not be having a shir on Thursday because it is Purim. So we're going to be living the Torah, b'simcha, dancing, singing, eating, biyachad, together, circles, the whole thing. It's going to be amazing. Okay. All the best, everybody. Bye-bye. Okay.
That's awesome.